Let's set it up a little bit here. Awesomeness, causing or inducing awe, inspiring an overwhelming feeling of reverence, admiration, or even fear. Very impressive. So let's take and let's assemble the two. Chiropractic awesomeness, the science, art, and philosophy of things natural, a system of adjusting the segments of the spinal column by hand only for the correction of the cause of disease, thus inducing awe, inspiring an overwhelming feeling of reverence, admiration, or even fear. And I'm okay with that fear in this respect. Very impressive. Chiropractic awesomeness. We stand on this foundation of chiropractic awesomeness. Now, in our world today, observe, is there a deep-rooted underlying issue that's affecting this as far as this whole perception thing goes? Is there a deep-rooted, in our society, perception of chiropractic? Where did that come from? Why is it that the population in the United States generally has a certain perception of chiropractic? Where did that come from? If you go high enough, you're going to run, basically you're going to run into one guy, is who you're going to run into. Okay? Where did that come from? What does it mean for us today? Of course, how do we conquer and dominate as is proper in the chiropractic world? Let's take a look here. We've got some field grass. I'm from Montana. That almost looks like wheat. Easy to stomp on, easy to rip out, easy to burn. Okay? There's chiropractors out there that's about their level of depth of belief, sadly. How about we take a look here? A little sapling here. But we can still walk up to that, bend that thing over, rip a bunch of branches off, make a big mess out of it. It'll handle a little bit more stress under fire, but not very much. A lot of chiropractors out there about at that level of depth of belief. And we got something like this, a little bit stronger, right? You might be able to push this around a little bit, rip a few of the branches, but it's still going to hold under a fair amount of stress. And then we have this. This is one I want to spend a second on. The mighty oak. You just lean up against this thing and it'll hurt your shoulder. More importantly is this. Look at the root structure. I am not moving for anything or anyone. That is the depth of belief that we're seeking here. Sometimes I get called the chiropractic Doberman. Why is that? Well, because we raise and help rescue Dobermans. Here's a couple of my kids right here. Daphne on the right, and that's her brother Indy, I-N-D-Y, like Indy 500. Now, they have a certain depth of belief. Huh? You think he's in shape? He appear to be physically conditioned to you? What he believes in and what he stands for, it is unwavering. His dedication, his loyalty, determination, what's his, and every square inch of my, quote, compound is his. And he knows it, and he takes it seriously. Just let that sit in your mind for a couple seconds. Let's move on now. Let's get back to the task at hand. Here it is right here. In 1847, the AMA is created. Who was behind the creation of the AMA? Who? Who? Oh, no. No, those are just the people. Those are just the low-level people. Who's directing the flow? Who has the money? Who's fronting the whole thing? Yes, the Rockefeller family fronts the AMA because they realize that pharmaceuticals require petroleum products. All right, so then now, and vaccines require petroleum products. So then all of a sudden they create the Public Advisory Board to advise the public on everything that should or shouldn't be happening in the world of healthcare. And then we're cruising along and we get to about 1910, we got all kinds of chiropractic schools popping up all over the place, way more than there are medical schools. Chiropractic is on fire based on what results, okay, in real human beings. Then, of course, we get to 1962, and this very interesting thing happens called the Iowa Plan. Now, a lot of you people here may be aware of some of this stuff. It might be a review for you. For some of you who may have never heard of this. Anybody know what the Iowa Plan was? Well, why don't we just read you a little bit about the Iowa Plan. The nefarious plot was hatched in '62 when the Iowa Plan was adopted by the Iowa Medical Society with the goal of eradicating chiropractic in that state because, of course, chiropractic was skyrocketing in the state of Iowa. The Iowa Plan section, quote, "What medicine should do about the chiropractic menace," includes a part titled, "Undertake a positive program of containment." If this program is successfully pursued, it is entirely likely that the chiropractic profession will wither on the vine and the chiropractic menace will die a natural but somewhat undramatic death. This policy of, quote, containment might well be pursued along the following lines. encourage ethical complaints against chiropractors, oppose chiropractic inroads to any health insurance, oppose chiropractic inroads into work comp, oppose chiropractic inroads into any labor unions, oppose complete chiropractic elimination from hospitals, and of course contain chiropractic schools. The Iowa plan states that such actions taken by the medical profession should be persistent and behind the scenes whenever possible. The medical community should never give professional recognition to chiropractors, and thus a successful program of containment will result in the decline of chiropractic. The AMA hired as its general counsel back when Robert Throckmorton, the author of the Iowa Plan, and that as early as September 63, the AMA's objective was the complete elimination of the chiropractic profession. 2 months later, the AMA formed a committee, and by 64, the goal was to do away with chiropractic throughout the entire United States. H. Doyle Taylor, the AMA's chairman of this group, worked aggressively to achieve the goals by what? Conducting nationwide conferences against chiropractic, distributing publications critical of chiropractic, assisting others in preparing anti-chiropractic literature, warning the professional association between any physicians and chiropractors was unethical, and discouraging colleges, university, and any faculty from cooperating with chiropractic schools or chiropractors in any way. It starts with this thing back in '62 called the Iowa Plan. And that Iowa Plan starts to get a little bit of ground, and then it morphs into the whole AMA starting to take a root at this, you might say, nationwide. All right? So then we move to this. We're almost to the 70s now, 69 heading into 70, all the way to 80. This group right here in the AMA plant a book in every college library in the United States. What's the name of that book? At Your Own Risk. Let's go back in time. Here I am. I'm in college. I'm going to college at Montana State University. I'm also in the Air Force at the same time. I'd be lifting weights, doing all these things. My back is bothering me. Didn't know what a chiropractor was. Just didn't know. Just didn't know. I start to date a girl. What was her name? Her name was Tory, just like mine. T-O-R-I, I'm T-O-R-Y. I know, it's perfect, isn't it? All right, and her dad is a chiropractor. Her parents come to town to go to a college football game. We happen to be over hanging out at her little dumpy birdhouse of a college apartment. It's got a crummy futon couch. I was shocked. He walks in, and the first thing he does is adjust her. I'd never seen any. I mean, it wasn't even like, "Hi, Dad." He just walked in and went right behind her and went crunch, and then the hug started. I'm telling you, that is no lie. It was adjustments first. Hey, how you doing later? Okay, and then he says, "Well, if I'm seeing her, then he's going to be seeing me." And he says, "Get down on the futon." Boom on my lower back. I stand up and I went, "Wow, wow." It felt good. Something was correct about it. I could see it took skill. He cared. He had love. He had passion. He'd been doing it for 20, 30 years already, but still had the energy for it. There was something going on that I hadn't seen in someone's occupation. And he says, "You might want to think about becoming a chiropractor." Here I am. That's Robert Larson, Billings, Montana. He called me a couple years ago just to see how I was doing. He's probably been in practice 45 years now. "Tory, how are you doing?" He kind of knew how I was doing, but he said, "How are you doing?" I have my first adjustments. I'm thinking about this chiropractic thing. Of course, I do what you do at the time. I go to my college library. No internet at the time, no other resources other than talking to chiropractors. Didn't feel confident enough to just call some other chiropractor up and say, "Hey, I want to talk about chiropractic." I go to the library. And I look up chiropractic, and there's one book there. And it's one of those books that you got to look like this, because there's only one of them, and there's only one book, and it's way down here, and I grab it, and it's this book right there that I have in my hands. And if you can read this, "The teachers, research workers, and practitioners of medicine reject the so-called principle of which chiropractic is based, and correctly, where do they get that? And bluntly, label it a fraud and hoax on the human race." Right on the cover. And it has a bunch of anti-chiropractic stuff in it. All fronted, all propaganda, all made up, all put there for one single purpose, all paid for by one group of people. And I have that book in my hands. If Robert Larson, D.C., hadn't given me those quality adjustments, I had that physiological feeling that no book could take me away from. The quality of those adjustments and his care and his concern and what I felt, I knew what was real. I had felt it. it wouldn't matter what anybody said because I knew what I felt. How many kids have been led astray by that book and did not go into chiropractic? And then, of course, okay, fine, how many thousands of people, tens of thousands of people that didn't get adjustments because those chiropractors didn't build big practices? It's unthinkable, the harm. Why? Why? Let's move on. Who's this guy? A lot of you will know Chester Wilk. A lot of young chiropractors don't know this. I did this talk a little while ago. Everybody in the room, they never heard of Chester. They don't know any of this stuff. They don't know any of it. They're past this. But I remember after I discarded that book, in fact, I wanted to steal that book, I think, and get it out of the library is what I wanted to do. But I was afraid that when I went through the beeper, I'd get yelled at or something like that, right, stealing this book. But anyway, I did call another chiropractor, and blah, 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 and he said something, well, we just won this big lawsuit, da-da-da-da-da, and I'm going, lawsuit? What? Whatever. And I didn't realize he was actually referring to this. So let's take a look at this Chester Wilk thing for just a couple seconds. Wilk versus the American Medical Association. Wilk and some of his chiropractic buddies, right? And by the way, can you even imagine the balls it would take to do this? Hi, I'm a chiropractor. I'm sick of all this stuff. I am going to try to sue the American Medical Association, like 10 associated college of surgeons, college of radiology, and all these other people, and I'm just going to do this attack. Can you believe that? And of course, nobody would want to be his lawyer because it would be professional suicide, but he ends up having someone that's a friend of the family who the guy's wife says, honey, if you don't help these people out, then you're going to not get whatever for years, okay? Or who knows what the case was to get the guy to help out the chiropractic world. But here we go. Federal antitrust suit brought against the American Medical Association and 10 co-defendants by chiropractor Chester Wilk, 4 co-plaintiffs, resulted in a ruling against the AMA. Here we go. Until 83. The AMA held that it was unethical from MDs to associate with unscientific practitioners and labeled chiropractic an unscientific cult. Before 1980, Principle 3 of the AMA Principles of Medical Ethics states, a physician should practice a method of healing founded on scientific basis and should not voluntarily professionally associate with anyone who violates this principle. Isn't that hilarious today when you think about it? In 80, during a major revision of the ethical rules, while the litigation was in process, they replaced the language and said, a physician shall be free to choose whom to serve, with whom to associate, and the environment in which to provide medical services. But of course, the damage had already been well accomplished. But let's take a look here now. So we get to the judge. Judge Susan Getzendanner personally hears all the evidence, makes factual findings known, and of course, judgment is then ruled, and here we go. September of 87, Getzendanner issues her opinion that the AMA had violated the Sherman Act. It engaged in an unlawful conspiracy in the restraint of trade to contain and eliminate the chiropractic profession. She further stated that the AMA had entered into a long history of illegal behavior, and then she issued a permanent injunction against the AMA. And she goes on to say the patients who testified were helped by chiropractors and not by medical physicians. One MD who associates with chiropractors had observed that patients in one hospital who received chiropractic treatment are released much sooner than patients in another hospital which he is on staff, which does not allow chiropractors to treat patients, and so on and so on. And so we see this ruling, the case is done, chiropractic wins, but the damage is already done and the perception lingers to this day. Now really think about how deep-rooted this is. I can even say from my own experience looking back, when I heard the word chiropractic, I thought something wrong. It's almost like it was born into people because how people think about something, I wonder if some of those thoughts and opinions get sent into their kids. I don't know. But I heard chiropractic and I thought I heard the word and I associated something negative with it and I didn't even know anything about it. Why is that? Because somehow it gets rooted in society and you're a little kid and you hear somebody say something about it when you're a kid, you never pay attention, but it goes into your subconscious mind, and when that word comes up again, you have a thought and an opinion on it. You don't even know where it came from, but it's negative, all right? And this whole thing happens and it affects thousands, if not millions of people in our country, and so we have that whole scene there to try to squash chiropractic. Okay, fine. Let's take a look over here now. Now, I don't have to tell you a lot of this stuff, but I'm going to anyway, just for fun. I think a lot of you already are aware of this, but for you, it might be a refresher. For some of you, it may be new. A lot of you know who Ron Perot is, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's just be very quick with this, and this is very important because younger chiropractors don't have this stuff. They don't have copies of this in their office to say, hey, look at this, okay? And they're trying to talk people into starting care with them, all right, versus using all the resources available, whether it's the anatomy book, it's research articles, whatever it might be. In 75, Perot, PhD, Chief of Cancer Prevention Research, New York's Preventive Medicine Institute, Professor of Medicine, Environmental Health at New York University, measures 107 individuals who receive long-term chiropractic care. Team turned up some surprising findings. All chiropractic patients, they were genetically normal. That is, they had no obvious genetic reasons for any increased resistance or susceptibility to disease. The chiropractic patients also had a 200% greater immune competence than people who had not received chiropractic. Most of you know this. And 400% greater immune competence than people with cancer or other serious diseases. Surprisingly, despite a wide range of ages, the immune competence did not show any decline with age. It was uniform for the entire group. Here's the key line. Perot concludes that chiropractic may optimize whatever genetic abilities you have so that you can fully resist serious disease. Is that not like unbelievable? But okay, I think we already know that, but let's flip the page to this one, and this one's just a beauty also. I remember having this brochure when I was getting going in practice. I'm not sure if you can even buy this anymore. I talk to chiropractors all the time. What do you got in there you're giving to people? I don't have anything. I'm going, what are you talking about? But anyway, oh, there's Wilk's book, Beauty, huh? What a warrior right there. Look at that shirt too, oh yeah. Okay? There's that one. Let's go on to this one right here now. These Windsor autopsies. Again, old news, but let me refresh your mind in case you don't understand the import of this. Okay, so we got Windsor, MD, medical doctor, Greater Philadelphia, intrigued by patients who return to health using chiropractic. How do chiropractors get people better without drugs or surgery, he wondered. He planned a unique experiment. He would dissect human and animal cadavers to see if there was a relationship between the health of the spine and any disease organs that he found. Flip. So take a look at this right here. Okay, Windsor's permission to carry on the experiment. He was funded money from the University of Philadelphia, got 75 people, 22 cats, 121. He found 221 diseased organs. Was there a relationship between the diseased organs and the spine? Windsor writes this. Heart disease, all. 20 cases of heart and pericardium conditions had the upper 5 thoracic vertebrae misaligned. Lung disease, all 26 cases of lung disease had spinal misalignments upper thoracic. Stomach disease, all cases had spinal misalignments in the mid-thoracics. Liver disease, all had misalignments in the mid-thoracics, T5, G9. Gallstones, all had misalignments, T5, G9. Pancreas, all misalignments. Spleen, all. Kidney, all. Prostate and bladder disease, all. Uterus, the 2 cases that they studied, again, all, even though 2, had the same sort of thing. Dr. Henry Windsor's insights and research were prophetic indeed. The medical profession has largely ignored Dr. Windsor's work. But of course, why would they acknowledge it? Huh? Let's move on from here. Everybody know who uses this goofy font and everything that you see from him, right? But let's see what Ogie had sent out to some people some years back. I saved this. Research done by Tapio Vidman, MD, a number of years ago, tells us that a subluxation, right, once formed will cause an inescapable degenerative progression if it's allowed to remain for any longer than 2 weeks. This means that monthly, quote, maintenance visit to your office will absolutely ensure your patients get worse over time, and they will. And then they'll confront you at some point in the future saying, I've been coming in, but why is something bugging me, or why am I getting worse? Anyway, most doctors do not see their patients on nearly the appropriate schedule of care in order to be really correct subluxation patterns. And it is a pattern. It's a neurological habit that the body becomes accustomed to, and it most often starts in children. So I recommend you see your patients, quote, wellness care every 2 weeks at the minimum. Okay? Especially kids. The correction of their subluxation patterning is most important to me. There is no such thing as maintenance. Well said. Realize everybody in here and every one of your patients, they're 1,500 adjustments behind. Well, you really think I need that? Well, you're 2,000 adjustments behind. You're 50, and if you went, you're like 2,000. And then let's drop it down to every day for the rest of your life, and then maybe we'll maximize whatever you might. And you know part of that's true, and you know part of it's true. All right? Let's flick the page to this one here. This is another beauty. A lot of people aren't aware of this one. There are perhaps 30,000 biomedical journals in the world. They've grown steadily by 7% a year. Okay, fine. Yet, only 15% of medical interventions are supported by solid scientific evidence. David Eddy, professor of health policy and management at Duke, told a conference in Manchester last week, this is partly because only 1% of the articles in medical journals are scientifically sound, and partly because many treatments have never been assessed at all. But who is this Eddy? Let's see. Well, Professor Eddy began his medical life as a cardiothoracic surgeon at Stanford, but he became progressively concerned about the evidence to support what he and his other doctor friends were doing. And this experience changed his life, and after taking a degree in math at Stanford, he became a professor at Duke and one of the most in-demand consultants in the United States on this very topic of what's called where's the wisdom, of which there's very little. But who cares about wisdom? We just front the studies so we can sell our stuff and destroy humanity, because population control is really the agenda behind the entire medical world. But some people, their minds won't let it go there and realize really how dark that is. Okay, but we'll see if we can prove that here in the next few minutes for those of you that may not want to really see the truth. Okay, so what do we got here? This is another beauty. The prevalence of depression in medical trainees, medical school students, medical interns is estimated to range from 15 to 30%. So 15 to 30%, or 15 to 30 people in medical school, medical interns, are depressed. After accidents, suicide is the most common cause of death among medical students. In one study, 9.4%, really 10%, of fourth-year medical students and interns reported having suicidal thoughts within the last 2 weeks. You realize how unbelievable this is? It isn't like nine and a half people. This is like hundreds and hundreds of doctor people out there, okay, that are thinking about committing suicide. This preliminary study found that residents who experience depression may be as much as 6 times more likely to make medication errors. How does that translate into humanity? Okay? Thousands of people. We can go on and on and on, but let's see if we can't just scoot it right along here. Let's take a look at this. 100,000 people die from prescription drugs. Hospitalizations for poisonings by prescription drugs are out of control. The rates of death from poisonings by prescription drugs just surpass motor vehicle crashes. There are typically no deaths from vitamins or dietary supplements, yet they're trying to be controlled. Prescription painkiller drug use, 40 Americans are dying every day. Pharmaceuticals, $650 billion a year business. Here's the thing I wanted to share with you. Study at Harvard and MIT finds, now listen to this, on average, a 10% increase in direct-to-consumer advertising of drugs results in a 1% increase in sales of that drug. So if they go from a million to 1,100,000, they'll get another 1% in sales. This is all mathematically figured out. What do we spend? What are we going to have to pay in lawsuits, profit? They know all this stuff, and then they still only run and they do all this stuff anyway. About half of Americans are taking at least one prescription drug, which of course is outrageous when you think about it. Let me close on this particular study for this part of my presentation here, and it's this. And everybody's aware of this one too, I think, but I think it's worth revisiting, and a lot of people out there that don't have this should get this and read every single word, all right, because it's the king dog of all. This is the king dog of all. Death by medicine. This fully referenced report shows the number of people having in-hospital adverse reactions to prescribed drugs to be 2.2 million a year. The number of unnecessary antibiotics prescribed annually for viral infections it's a cool 20 million a year. The number of unnecessary medical and surgical procedures performed annually is another 7.5 million a year. The number of people exposed to unnecessary hospitalization it's like 9 million people. Is this not like unbelievable? But because it's so crept into our life, we just go, yeah, okay. But it's not, nothing about it is okay. It's unbelievable. It's this innocuous thing that just sneaks up on you. It's the boiling a frog example. It's like getting choked. I'm okay, and then you're out, okay? The most stunning statistic, however, is this. The total number of deaths caused by conventional medicine is an astounding 783,936 deaths a year. It's now evident the American medical system is the leading cause of death and injury in the United States. By contrast, heart disease, 700,000, cancer, 553. Isn't that amazing? So here we see that the facts are, from serious study from credible people, that our medical system is the leading cause of death. We see that. And yet we must associate that this is not like an accident and we have good people in the system. These people are good. But up here at the top, they're not good. Okay? Not good. Okay? Good people, bad system, hands tied, all these limitations, and this is what the result is. All right, so we have to realize that. Now, here's the thing that gets me, and here's the main point. Here is the main point. We know this, okay, so we have all of this stuff about medicine that we can get wound up about, and over here we have all of this chiropractic awesomeness. So over here we have some perception, and over here we have the truth. Yet you have chiropractors putting on white clinic jackets and wrapping stethoscopes around their neck to look like them. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? I'm sure these are wonderful people. How do you explain that? Can you explain that to me? Subluxated, vaccine damaged, you name it, anything that you can think of that is unbelievable. All of this truth, and we have all of the truth on our side. And I think I'm going to try to look like them because maybe I'll fool people into thinking I'm a real doctor and I'm really smart. How do you explain that? Have you conquered this thing? And I know it's in you. Every one of you in here. Gosh, is chiropractic really that great? Or, you know, people ask me what I do, and yeah, I'm a chiropractor, and you're kind of waiting to see what's going to, you know. See? Have you conquered that? Because you have to deal with that. New chiropractors have to deal with that, and many of them get burnt up like that field grass. That's why they got to be here. They got to get that depth of belief. Key line. You might actually write this line down. You're talking about chiropractic, you ready? My certainty in this area far outweighs any doubts you might have. My certainty in this, black chiropractic, no. My certainty in this area far outweighs any doubts you might have. I love and embrace the role of a desperado. I love and embrace the role of what I might call an outlaw. I love that chiropractic thing where I know people are going to have some sort of perception issue. That is our opportunity. It's not like it's our opportunity because I want them to be thinking something. In fact, the farther they are against chiropractic, usually the easier it is to get them to turn just as strong toward chiropractic with just some smart, cool, sober truth. Okay? I love the role of the desperado. I love the role of being the outlaw. I love that role of being someone who's moving through life without apology because we have the truth and we can share it. And by sharing it with love and certainty, we're going to get most people to turn. Okay? So we want to embrace this. We love the whole concept that people have been programmed to have a certain opinion of chiropractic that maybe isn't good. I love all of that because that's my opportunity to win. All right? We love that. Are you willing to join me? Are you willing to join us? Because there's a lot of us's in here, not just me. Are you willing to join me on this pursuit of truth, this delivering of truth, this understanding of what's really going on out there that a lot of people won't study? They don't really know what's going on. But we do, and then we have this truth on our side, chiropractic. Are you willing to join me on this mission and in our sphere of influence? And look how small it is. You fly on that plane and you look down and you see cars driving. You know there's people in there going to work or going to the store or going wherever, and you don't know them, but maybe they're a chiropractic person, maybe they're not. It makes your practice feel so small, but the best you can do is reach as many people as you can in your sphere. Are you willing to join me on that whole mission? Yes. Yes. Say yes or yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. This is actually kind of a funny picture when you really look at this, especially when you see it's my face on there, right? They say in jiu-jitsu, either you win or you learn. I've been on one hell of a learning streak lately. A little bit of humor there. I think we're getting the point here for our morning together. We have such brief time. We have such brief time. I showed you the couple killers earlier. It kind of boils down to this. At the core of all of this for us, our belief, the conversations we have, the interactions with patients, the interactions with people who may become patients, the interaction with people in the world, it really boils down, and you guys know it's true, it boils down to love. I, as a human being, and almost no human beings could do this, can look as loving as that. And it's too bad you can't see that picture. Look at him. He's down there laying on the carpet looking up and going, Dad, I love you. I will die for you. There's nothing I won't do to be next to you. There's nothing I won't do to protect you. There's nothing in my life other than you. Every second of my life orbits around you. Now, we call that the chiropractic Doberman philosophy. If we have that type of thing with our patients, it orbits around you. What can I do for you? How can we have a plan of adjustments for you? How can I help your family? How can I help it improve the quality of your life, the quality of your work, the quality of your relationships? Maybe it'll even help you earn more, and you can do some things in life that maybe you weren't able to do before because you didn't feel well enough. See, all of those things, it really boils down to love. Love for self, love for patients, love for family, love for God, love for all of the stuff, love for chiropractic. And when we have love at a level like that, there's nothing that can stop us. It really boils down to this. And so here it is. We have the truth on our side. Because we love truth, and because we love people, and because we love chiropractic, because we have this oak tree root structure that cannot cause us to waver, then we're going to win. There's no way that we can be stopped. We are absolutely unstoppable, and my goal is to reach how many people I can through my own hands, through my influencing other chiropractors to see more people. It's the best that I can do. So when I get down to the dark river of death and its chill waters dampen my feet, I'm going to look back over my past life and I'm going to say, I finished my work. I did the best that I could. And I'll breathe my last breath and go to the other side. And hopefully I see you there. Hopefully I see you there with me. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Hold on, I got some giveaways.